Are you ready for an extreme makeover of the mind? With the producer and host of A Better You podcast, the transformational coach whose assignment is to challenge people to change, grow, and evolve into the individuals they were created to be. Here is Dr. Anthony McFarland, providing you with practical tools and wisdom for everyday life challenges for you to win in life, relationships, and finances.
Hey guys, welcome to the ABU podcast. I'm Anthony McFarland, as most of you already know. Those of you that are tuning in, listening to this podcast for the very first time, we would love for you to partner with us, follow us, encourage you to click, like, share the link on whatever platform you're watching or listening on, because I'm interviewing this season successful leaders, entrepreneurs, business moguls, authors who have experienced a critical pivot in their own personal lives and businesses that I believe will really assist you in continuing to walk by faith and not by sight in some respects, but encourage you to keep pressing towards the mark of the high calling that you have been called to. So with that, today's guest, I'm excited about having her on with me on this podcast with me, Miss Teanna Ross. She's a personal and professional success coach, master at website design and branding. She's been working with aspiring product and service-based business professional for over 15 years who are at their wits' end when it comes to branding themselves and marketing their products and services. She's very passionate. One of the things that I like about her, she's very passionate about mental health. She's a Medi-Cal certified peer support specialist, certified domestic violence counselor, advocate, as well as trainer. And so please help me welcome to the ABU podcast, the smart, intelligent, vivacious Teanna. Welcome. There she is.
Yes. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on with me. I tell you, this past, maybe a few weeks ago, I had you on our monthly ABU master class training with our partners that we do once a month. And I'm telling you, really blessed everybody. And I actually have a lead for you as well. I meant to share that with you off camera, but I'll make sure that they have your information and connect with you. Hey, let's talk about, we've been knowing each other for a while.
Yes.
I've watched you grow over the years.
Yes.
I won't say anything that dates my age and how long I've been knowing you and watching you grow and evolve as a young woman into this wonderful business mogul that you are. But let's talk about your journey from being a graphic artist, because I remember when you got started.
Yes.
To website design, to now today you're a life coach.
Yes.
Who is, you're really helping a lot of people. So let's talk about your journey, know, how you've gone. I mean, you've crossed from two different industries into a third industry, and you're doing it all.
Yes, I am now. And it's just been such a blessing of the journey, right? Sometimes we can't see where we're going, right? Because we don't know, right? But God has a plan for our lives. And when I look back, I see that He used every piece of my journey to land me where I am right now. And I just wouldn't change it, because I'm like in my purpose right now. I really feel like this is my purpose. I've always wanted to teach. I've always wanted to be creative, and I can do both of those things with everything that I do. And so I'm just blessed to even be able to just do what I do the way that I do it. And you tell God what you want, you tell Him your plans, and then He just laugh at you and tell you, okay.
Here's my plan.
Yeah, this is what we gonna really do. So
Well, everybody isn't blessed to be gifted with multiple gifts. Some individuals have one gift, one talent. For those of that don't understand giftings, one talent. Some may have one or two gifts or talents, and then there's some of us who have 4 or 5 talents.
Yes.
And God actually expects for us to utilize all those gifts and talents, because one day we'll have to get before Him and give an account for all of those talents and those gifts that He bestowed upon us, placed inside of us. And so you have definitely been a gift and a blessing to so many people. I know that you have a big emphasis on mental health. Let's talk about that for a minute. What got you into that lane, that being an area of focus for you, which again caused you to become a certified specialist in some of these areas?
Well, the pandemic, I think the pandemic allowed for a lot of us to sit down, be still, really think about how we're showing up, right? Because all we had was time, right? The world kind of shut down, and the world was like an unknown place. And I remember being scared in that place, right? Because the business that I'm in, I was working full time at home. And so a graphic designer, a web designer, and things like that, those are like not necessities.
Right.
those are wanna do's, not gotta do's, right?
Yes.
And so I had to really sit with myself and really think about, what am I going to do? You know what I mean? I don't want to be insensitive. And you see a lot of people posting about, like, getting their services and promoting their services. But I really sat back and reflected, like, we're in a space where people are just trying to survive. So I really don't want to be promoting my services like that. It would kind of be a waste of time. To me, at the time, it was a waste of time, right? So I kind of put my business on hold. And sometimes people are brought into our lives just for seasons and reasons, right? And so I had a business associate who shared with me an opportunity to work for this nonprofit organization, being their program coordinator. They had just implemented a FEMA grant. FEMA. Okay. I had never supervised anybody, you know what I mean? Like in a corporate setting. I've ran business offices, I've gone to school, got my MBA, I've done a lot of different things, but I've never personally supervised staff, right? And so I was scared about this opportunity. And so I prayed about it. And I said, Lord, if this opportunity is for me, because I'm at home working my own business, okay? I'm above, how some people get when they were like, work for somebody else. I work for myself. What you mean work for somebody else? I work from home. So I prayed about it. And initially, the position was only for 4 months, but I would be taking over this FEMA grant. And what I would be doing is overseeing the implementation of this grant for this nonprofit, as well as overseeing a staff initially of 15 that grew to 21 of crisis counselors who would be providing support to all of Californians across the state. And so I was so scared and nervous because I'm like, this is a big thing, a FEMA grant. Baby, I just been doing my own thing. You know what I mean? We talking about government contracts.
And this new door opens up.
Yes. And this new door just opens up. And I prayed about it because at first I wasn't going to apply for it because I was like, I don't know if I want to go back to work or, what is it going to look like? And I just said, Lord, if it's for me, you ain't going to let me miss nothing.
Right.
If it's for me, I'm going to interview for it. I'm going to go through all the steps. I'm going to do my best. And if you want me to do this, then I know that I'm prepared. I know that I'm not going to walk in here and, not know what I'm doing. And so I did the interview. I got the job. And so I was thrust into, okay, it was like, here's the grant. Okay, go ahead. Do what you want to do. Implement your stuff, do it. And so I had to implement processes. I had to meet with staff. I had to oversee trainings. I had to take trainings, mental health trainings. And I really fell in love with the work. I'm a helper. I feel like that's one of my gifts. I love to help and support people and just be there. I love to serve. Right. And so it was just in my lane. And so the grant initially, right, it was only supposed to be for 4 months. This thing kept getting extended. It got extended like 4 times. Like, no, we're going to extend it because we were providing free counseling services to Californians, and FEMA was paying all of the counselors to do this. We were the first type of grant that tailored really to mental health that serviced all of California. And so we only had like 25 organizations within the state that was taking on this task of really reaching out to individuals across the state to say, hey, if you're struggling with anything, we are here to support you. We're here to talk to you. So we would link people to mental health services, link them to, food banks for if they have food insecurities, just like different things. I'm getting out in the community, doing community service, showing up at community events, sharing the information with people that we're here to support them. And so our organization just really shined because I don't know, I think being a manager, I was just so personable, right? I'm not up here and you're down here. And I really appreciated the organization that I worked for because they're a peer model mental health organization. And so there is no hierarchy, like I'm the CEO and you're down here. Everybody works like this, regardless. Yes, we're a team, regardless. And so that was new to me because I've worked in corporate before, right? And sometimes it just doesn't feel good, like you feel like you're a peon or something,
There's a class or a caste system within the system.
Yes. And so working for this organization, it just really showed me that there is a different way that we can work together, where it's more collaborative and we can be more personable. And so that is really how I got started working in this new peer environment. California is like one of the last states to really implement this peer model. Other states already have this peer model in place. And so we were like, one of the last states to really implement it. And so I can say that I'm one of the first set of peers that was certified in the state of California for this program. Initially, it was only like 500 of us. And so I am in that number. And so from overseeing that FEMA program and our organization really shining with the state, and you've probably heard of the program. The program is called Cal Hope. It's still kind of going on. Yes, it's still kind of going on right now. And we'll kind of be wrapping up in April. But that program has blessed my life. I have been able to take over 40 mental health trainings. And I was like, you know what? While I'm doing this mental health stuff, I want to be certified as a domestic violence counselor as well, because I am a survivor of domestic violence. And I'm just like, God, use me. Like, I'm just a vessel at this point. Like,
now you're reaching all of these people.
Yes.
And I think that's where, as I listen to your story of how you pivoted into this space, mental health space, that's where you evolved as a counselor and then coach. And I know one of your areas of focus is discovering the power of personal self-care. Let's talk about that a little bit. What are some of your secrets to self-care, helping people discover personal self-care?
I know as a woman, sometimes we think self-care is looking pretty, getting our hair done, nails done, making sure we look the part. But how do we feel on the inside?
Yeah, that's the physical, but then the external versus the internal.
Yes, the internal, because, I look back when I was even dealing with being in a toxic, abusive relationship. I looked the part, like I was happy, I looked, but on the inside, I was just like in so much turmoil. I was in conflict with myself. And so one of the tricks to self-care with me is really getting down to who you are. How do you want to show up for yourself? Really asking yourself those hard questions, because sometimes we're so busy trying to show up for other people that we don't even know who we are. We just know the titles that we have. I'm a mom, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm all of these things, but who am I to me? And so that in going through the trainings, right, for the job that I had to do a lot of trainings where you really have to sit with yourself and ask yourself a whole lot of questions, because how can you really support someone else if you don't know who you are? And in this role, one of the things that sets it apart from a counselor or a therapist is that we have to share our lived experience with the people that work. And if you're not comfortable sharing your experience, then this role is not for you because it's a requirement. So you have to really sit with yourself and say, what is my story? How can I share? Do I feel comfortable sharing it? Because to be honest, for a long time, I never told people I was a survivor of domestic violence, because why would I say, oh my God, I don't want you to feel bad for me. I don't want the woe is me. I don't want you to look at me differently. It's like a secret, And so I was able to take my power back and say, that's a piece of me.
Yeah, you chose not to neglect neglect yourself anymore.
Yes. And I can share that and be confident and still love myself, still show up for other people, still support people. And I think that was one of the pieces that really allowed me to step into who I am as a woman and not be afraid, because for the longest I was afraid because I didn't feel like I could show up authentically because I would be seen as a fraud or not living in my full truth. And then other people, you could be one thing online, but the people that know you know.
Exactly.
And I didn't want to
Not
be
your
in
authentic
conflict.
self.
Yeah, and I don't want to be in conflict with the people that really know me, and then I'm showing up online as something else in their life. So I just had to be quiet and really get in tune with myself. And I think a lot of times we do not ask ourselves the hard questions, because when we ask ourselves the hard questions and we answer those questions in truth, we have to change.
It forces you to change. I like something that you said, one of your talk about giving yourself permission to pause. And you talked about, one of the points that you talked about is the importance of, within self-care, is you have to take ownership of boosting your self-esteem and your self-worth. And so when you prioritize self-care, I believe you said you send a message to yourself that you are worth taking care of. And I thought that was great.
Yes, we are worthy.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes our inaction is because we don't think we're worthy. We don't think we're worthy of what's on the other side.
Because, at the end of the day, I'm sure you probably heard this today, when you dress good, when you look good, you feel good. But when you feel good about yourself, you know who you are, you know your why, you're embracing and loving yourself. At that point in time, there comes this shift, this pivot for you to evolve and become this person, because you've gone through this discovery process that you didn't even realize was there. That person was actually hidden.
Yeah.
So now you're able to behave. You're thinking differently, you're behaving differently, as well as you then start to make better choices for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the requirements for the position was that we had to, you had to have been a recipient of mental health services yourself, or care for someone who has needed mental health services.
Yes.
And so me personally, I have not been a recipient of mental health services, but my son was. And I mean, I hope I don't even drop a tear, but I tell you, the journey that me and my son have had together, I would have never known that he prepared me for everything that I am doing right now, and how I support and show up for other mothers, parents, just in general, being a parent advocate, and parents understand how the educational system works, how to advocate for your child in these systems. I went through all of that with my son.
That's good.
So many nights I would just be up crying, and I would really call out to God, and I pray like, Lord, what do you want me to do? I don't know what to do. But he put people around me and in my circle that, you do this, say that, do it like that, who helped me advocate. And so it was just an eye opener, because I was a young mother, and so some people don't help you. They make it harder for you. And it be people that look like me, women that look like me, that will not help you and will make it harder for you and will shame you for what you don't know, right? But then there's also women that look like me, like, come on, baby, I got you. I'm with you until the wheels fall off. And I met, I'll never forget, I met Dr. Rima Reynolds because I started attending the African American Parent Council when it first started with PUS. And she was so integral into my growth in this space, because she specialized in Black boys and education and the prison to pipeline and all of that. And she just held my hand and was like, you ever need anything, you call me. I'm gonna help you get through all of this.
I love it.
So that's where it started. So when I think about the qualifications and the requirements for me to even be here, I look back at that and say, God was preparing me back then. I had no clue. I had no clue.
I think, Teanna, at the same time, all of this, what you've been through, your journey, is a result of not just the pandemic, but you said it. Your pandemic caused the world to stop. It caused people to take a pause, a hard pause, and really reassess a lot of areas of their life.
Yes.
Business, what they're doing. But more importantly, that component of self-discovery. You wouldn't have gotten to where you are today and gained the skill set that you have today to be able to be an advocate for your son if you did not first go through that self-discovery process. And so when we think about self-discovery, it has everything to do about learning yourself, learning who you are, answering that big question, who am I? And so that self-knowledge helps you and I as professionals, as coaches. I'm also a counselor. You're a counselor, to protect your own mental health and well-being. You can't help someone else with their mental health and well-being if yours isn't intact. And unfortunately, a lot of counselors, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists actually suffered themselves in those areas. When we really say, hey, I want to know me. I want to get in tune, in touch with me. I want to learn how to take care of me first, put the oxygen mask on myself so I can be aware and thoughtful about who I am and how I'm showing up in the world. And as a result of me exploring self-acceptance, learning how to treat myself with more care and compassion, uncovering, most people don't know what their values are. They want people to value them, but they don't even know what their personal values are. So I always share with people, you have to uncover your personal value.
Yes.
And stop caring about. And I love what you said, how, you get in some spaces and around some people and they make you feel bad when you're in need of information, your knowledge you're seeking. And then they make you feel bad about not having that knowledge or make you feel inadequate, when at the end of the day, you got to come to this place when you say, you know what, I don't really care. When you start valuing yourself, you stop valuing what everybody else has to say about you, and you stop caring about what others think, and then you start to look at making yourselves. I tell people this all the time. You have to become your greatest asset, not your house, not your car, not your bank account. Everybody wants the bag, everybody wants to win, but what's most important? You being a better you being a healthier you is what's most important, so that you can show up. And then I always say, when you can show up, God can show out.
Yes. I love it. Yeah, that right there. It took me a while to just get myself together, being a mother, working, being a business owner, supporting other people. I had to really stop and check myself and say, do I love me? I know we say we love ourselves, but how? And I think sometimes we don't really take stock in that. And so when I really sat back and asked myself that question, I said, if I really love myself the way I project to others that I love myself, it's certain things I won't allow to be in my space. It's certain things that I won't allow to come out of my mouth. It's certain things that I'm going to be feeding myself. And what does that look like? What kind of woman do I want to be? And not what kind of woman do I want to be? How do I what do I do every day to be that one? How do I change
for yourself?
Yes, for
not
myself.
For other people, for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
For myself.
I had a coach, executive coach, and they start off at $2,800. I'll never forget, she said to me, she said, I want to tell you something. She said, I think you're a good person to a fault. She said, what I've assessed is that you value people more than you value yourself. And she asked me this question, and it was a game changer. She said, how much do you value yourself? You're trying to help everybody else. You'll sacrifice, you'll go out your way to help everybody else. But how often do you stop and help yourself?
Guilty.
Guilty.
Yes.
And I was like, I did not have this session with you for you to tell me that.
Right. You're getting too deep. Get out of my business.
But it was a big eye opener.
Yeah.
Share with me the greatest challenge that you've experienced on your journey that caused you to pivot. I know you said you have been a victim of domestic violence, but as an entrepreneur, as a business mogul, what's one of the things that have happened to you that caused you to pivot or go in a different direction for what's best for you?
I'm going to say my daughter. She changed my entire life. My son did too. But I'm going to say my daughter because she's mirroring me. And when I look at her, I want to be the best woman for her so that she can grow up to be the best woman. And I'm looking back at the women that I come from and realizing that I could break some of these generational holds, right? I don't have to parent my daughter the way that I was parented. But she really changed everything for me because she's 10 now and she'll be 11 this year. And she mimics everything that I do. They are watching everything, whether you know it or not.
Sponges.
And I said, what are the things that she has seen that I didn't really want her to see, that she's learning from, that she's going to internalize and think that it's okay because my mommy did it. So, and then also having conversations with her, of course, in an age appropriate way, but being open enough to have conversations with her so that it's not do what I say, not as I do. And so I just want her to see me. I want to be her role model. I don't want her looking at celebrities. I don't want her looking outside of her own home.
Right. Come on.
Say, I want to be like that woman. I want to be like that. I want her to say, I want to be like my mom. That is the person that I look up to. That is the person that I want to be like when I get older. That's who I want to be. And so that right there changed everything for me. When that light bulb clicked, I was like, oh, I have to be different. I have to show up differently. I have to show her, how to be, what to do, because she's watching me, whether I want her to take on certain attributes or characteristics or not. Yeah, she's going to, because it's what she's around, it's what she sees, it's what she's absorbing. So that was a game changer for me.
I just heard this came in my spirit because you're a brand specialist with entrepreneurs, with business owners, that you have to work on your own brand. I oftentimes tell people they're so focused on branding their business, but you are the brand.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes people, for small businesses, especially small, mid-sized businesses, people are buying you. They're buying your message before they buy your product.
Exactly.
And so I just heard this brand you, be the best you. And what happens is, being the best version of who God created you to be, that image, that authentic person that God created you to be, then gets branded onto other people's lives around you, specifically your daughter, your son, and you're that superhero. I tell people all the time, you should be your kid's biggest superhero, not Batman, not Lil Wayne and Bone Thugs and Lil Ricky and them. No, you should be your kid's greatest.
I want it to be me. Yeah, I want it to be me. And it's funny that you said that, because I have an ebook that talks about the branding experience. And the branding experience is one of those things that sets you apart, right? Because I know we've all probably heard this quote, you never forget how a person made you feel. You might forget everything else, but you're never going to forget how a person made you feel. That's how it is with branding, right? That's why stores, right? That's why Walmart and Target and Walmart, they not in competition with each other.
No, not at all.
Just like Macy's isn't in competition with Walmart or Target, right?
Right, yeah, right.
When you go to Walmart, you get a certain atmosphere. When you go to Target, you have a certain atmosphere. When you go to
Macy's, Nordstrom,
or Nordstrom, you get a different. Yeah, Bloomingdale's. You go to Bloomingdale's, baby. You get a whole different atmosphere, right? It's at the top. But that's why people shop there. That's why people choose to shop at Bloomingdale's and not Macy's. That's why people choose to shop at Saks Fifth versus Target. I mean, it's a whole experience. And people are experiencing us.
Us, yes.
Every day, how you show up, how you come across people, your vibe, your energy, how you speak, how you carry yourself. People are watching you. And it's like, oh no, I don't want to talk to that person. They just like how you walking down the street, people got face all tooted up, mad. You like, oh, I don't
Right.
say nothing to them. They look mad, right? But if you have a smile, you looking all jolly and happy, good morning. Good
Right.
morning. People are more receptive to
That's
you.
right.
They are more connected with you. They want to talk to you. You're a safe. You can become a safe space for people, and it's all in our energy and our own personal branding experience.
Yeah,
And so
because
when
you attract who you are.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for
Yeah, you
sure.
attract who you are.
Hmm.
This has been so good. This has been so good. So tell me, before we wrap this up, this has been so good. What's next for Teanna?
What's next for me? The sky is the limit. Right now, the sky is the limit. I'm just blessed, and it's so crazy. I started this 60-day challenge, and so for the first 30 days, I'm in Proverbs. Got to read
Okay.
the whole chapter of Proverbs, right? So last in December, I was having a challenge, right? And so my grandmother said, "Read Proverbs, read Proverbs." I think she said Proverbs 21, and I was like, "Oh, Proverbs 21. Okay, Granny, I'm gonna read Proverbs 21." So I read Proverbs 21, and I said, "Oh, okay, okay, Granny, do a little something, Granny, do something, right?"
Yes.
So I started this challenge, and it said start with Proverbs, and I said, "Here we go with Proverbs again." And I've been in Proverbs, and baby, I tell you, every day I'm like, "Oh, this is good." I'm reading it, rereading it. I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is real good Proverbs." And I ain't even talking about Proverbs 31.
Right. We're not even there
we
yet.
ain't not
Right.
even got there
Right.
yet. I ain't even
Yeah.
talking about that. I'm talking about everything else, about watching your mouth, how to treat other people, how to move about in life.
It's all
Um,
wisdom. It's wisdom.
it's just like, and I'm like, oh,
Practical
that right
principles for
there.
everyday life, living, business. I have this saying,
So
you'll love this. I have this saying, you know how they say an aspirin a day
keep
helps
the.
keep the headache away?
Mhm.
A Proverbs a day helps keep problems away.
I agree with that. I was in Proverbs this morning and last night. I can't put it down. I
Yeah.
can't put it down because I'm just like, oh, because I remember when I would pray, Lord, I want wisdom and discernment and knowledge. Lord, give me the wisdom, the discernment, and the knowledge. That was just wisdom, discernment, and the knowledge. Wisdom, discernment. Give it to me, Lord. I want that. Like, give it to me. And I'm just like, wow, he gonna give it to you, but you don't even know you're getting it. You ain't even
Right.
had the aha moment yet. But sitting in Proverbs, I'm just like, I gotta call my grandma. She gonna be like, girl, you ain't Proverbs.
That's
but
good.
but but what's in store for me is I want to serve. And I think I'm gonna be gearing up. I'm gonna be launching my Queen's Canvas this year. And I want to work with women who are ready to paint the life that they desire and deserve. And
That's good.
so that's what's next in store. This year, I'm also going to be hosting some self care workshops where we really discuss what self care is, because it's really not about being pretty on the outside. It's really about digging deep on the inside of who you are
Yes.
and really figuring out who that woman is outside of all of your titles. Who are you as a person? If you
Yeah.
wasn't a mother, if you weren't anything else, who are you? And I think before we go into business, right, to serve or to do anything, we need to know why we're doing it, because
Yes.
it's not about the money.
Not about the
The
bank.
money will come,
That's
but
right.
it's about operating in your purpose, knowing what your purpose is, and then being able to share that to bless others, because that's what we're here for. We are here on this earth to serve and bless others,
That's it.
period.
That's right.
I don't care
Period.
what you
Point blank.
sell.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what you sell. I do hair. When people come sit in my chair and do hair, they telling me their problems. I'm giving them, blessing them, listening to them, soothing them. It's not just about getting your hair done. It's about letting your hair down and being vulnerable.
That's good.
And so that's what's in store for me this year, showing up and letting God show out in those areas, because as women, we do a lot and we have a lot of roles and a lot of titles. And at the end of the day, I want them to know how to take all of that off and just be.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. Before we close out, wrap this podcast up, I call this the ABU Wisdom for Life and Business. And so I want you to fill in the blank to the question that I am going to ask you. You can expound on it if you like, but it's simple. You just kind of fill in the blank. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, there's no quick trick questions. What is the number one cause as to why people fail in life or business that you've seen?
They don't have a plan and they're watching everybody else and they're trying to mimic and be like everybody else when God made us all unique. Just like you see a lot of women right now, it's a thing where you have to get the fillers. You have to, your body has to look a certain way. You know, this and that. Everybody look alike. Everybody look the same. Everybody want to look like the video girl or whoever, or the celebrity. God made you unique. Why mess up his creation and dumbing yourself down to be and look like other people when they're not even showing up in their authentic, true self? I think we're scared of that. We're scared of being who we are because when we're different, other people don't understand, like, what? You talking like that? You saying it like that? You look different. Well, yeah, I am different. That's how I stand out, because I am different. So we have to stop being scared of being ourselves and going against the grain and stop jumping on these trends or trying to show up like everybody else does in society. You're going to get lost. You keep following the crowd, you're going to get lost.
Suicide is at a high alarming rate.
Because we can't show up as ourselves. And when you start showing up as your authentic self, you're not standing 10 toes down in that, because you're still worried about what other people say about you. You're still worried about what other people are going to think. And I had that bad. Well, if I do that, what are they going to think? No, what does God think?
Yes, I love it. Okay, here's the last one. What's been the greatest challenge that you've had to overcome?
Vulnerability, being vulnerable. It's hard being vulnerable because sometimes we don't know who we can be vulnerable with. And then sometimes people who you think you can trust will betray your vulnerability. So that has been the hardest challenge, because if I need help, who can I tell? That won't make me feel bad for needing help or telling everybody else where I need help and where I'm falling short. So being vulnerable has been a really, really, really big challenge.
A component of a masterclass that I do. And one of the points that we hone in on is know thyself. You don't know thyself, you can't be true to thyself.
Exactly.
So this has been awesome. How can people get in touch with you, reach you? Of course, the information will be in the link below where people can contact you, but give us one of your, maybe your Instagram handle. I think that's where you show up the most.
Yes, Instagram. I am at Teanna Lanise, and that is TEANNA_LANISE. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn. You can just search by Teanna Lanise as well. And you can also find me on my website at teannalanise.com. Please join me over there. I have some yummy blog topics that I'll be posting over there that have to self-care, entrepreneurship, business, branding, marketing, everything. It's a little bit of everything, but why not?
Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's hold that thought just for one moment. Listen, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. I want to hear from you. What was your takeaway from this episode? Email me, pop a message in, DM me. Again, thank you for tuning in to A Better You. And till the next time, continue to walk by faith and not by sight. And remember, God created you to be the best version of yourself. Until the next time, God bless you.
Thank you for tuning in to A Better You program with Anthony McFarland. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening.